Hey Sarah, did you hear about my sister's interview that I told you the other day?
Yeah, how did it go? Did she get a job?
No, it didn't go well. She didn't get the job that she wanted. She told me it was because there was another foreigner that was competing for the same spot as her, and the other foreigner asked for a lower wage than her.
How can? They have the same qualifications.
Yeah, so in the company's perspective, even though they have the same qualification, the foreigner was in a way like cheaper than her, so they of course decided to go with the cheaper option.
That's so unfair.
But can you imagine it would be us in this situation?
I know, right?
Couple years down the road, we're facing the exact problem, especially with Singapore's current immigration policy. They're encouraging immigrants to come in ever so often.
Exactly. Can you imagine after studying for 4 years, we won't have any jobs to look forward to? We should just quit school now.
37% of the working population in Singapore is made of immigrants. These immigrants give Singapore its cultural mosaic, having them enter the country each year while also being able to maintain their homeland culture, whether it's in regards to food or holidays. Though Singapore welcomes immigration with open arms, it also arises some problems, especially in the job sector. Today we are here to discuss the positive aspects and possible fears with immigrants in the job market, as well as argue why it is positive for Singapore to embrace immigration.
In the early 1980s, Singapore has welcomed 100,000 immigrants each year, or 1 million each decade. There are some uncertainties and fears circling the issue of immigration, but today we will be focusing on the fears of immigration on the job sector. The first fear would be the fear of foreigners taking over the number of finite jobs available in Singapore's job sector. The second would be the fear of over-outsourcing, as companies hire immigrants who have a lower wage than Singaporeans. These are very real fears felt by Singaporeans and are topics often discussed in the heartlands of Singapore. Early February this year, there was a protest against the White Paper on Population at Speaker's Corner. Some protesters insisted that they are not afraid of foreigners, but however are worried about the loss of Singaporean jobs to foreigners, depressed wages, and the overcrowding on Singapore's infrastructure such as housing and transport. Nicole Seah also said on SG Alternative that there is a fear of Singapore becoming a transient state, where one comes, makes their fortune and leave. Hence, such fears are not unfounded and should be investigated and allayed.
I will now talk about how immigration is beneficial for the economy. So I have a guy friend who was born and raised in Melbourne, where he was educated and then continued to get a job at Goldman Sachs. There, he became fluent in Mandarin, and a white male who is intelligent and extremely educated who's fluent in Mandarin became an asset. And then he instantly got a job at a Singaporean bank. Because companies no longer just want the local perspective in regards to business, it is extremely beneficial for them to outsource to diversify the workplace. Globalization has made it a casual thing for people to get up and move their lives, for economy revolves around jobs. Immigrants not only fill the job gaps, but they spend money on consumer goods, they buy real estate and pay taxes. People do pick up their lives and settle down here. For example, Jim Rogers, Eduardo Sovereign, and you, Paul. Immigration also brings forth multiculturalism in regards to food. For example, Thai, Vietnamese, and Mexican cuisine, to name a few.
Unfortunately, as immigration is something that we need to sustain our economy and population, we have no choice but to accept it. Recognizing the benefits and necessity of immigration is one of the first steps that we can take to accepting it as part of our lives. The second step is to recognize that adapting is a process that takes time and effort. Think about your individual experiences with people of other cultures. The exchange student classmate sitting next to you, or the really cool foreign professor whom you really admire. Have you benefited from their experiences, knowledge, and perspectives? Beyond the obvious differences in culture and language, they're really just like us, individuals who are here to work hard, make a living, and support their families. So maybe if we thought of them as individuals like you and I, we wouldn't see them in such a threatening light.